Welcome to Reality of the Rose with your host, Natalie Sprink.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 225 of Reality of the Rose. I'm your host, Natalie Sprink. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been about 2 weeks since my last episode. I've had, I'm considering my summer schedule. It is just sort of arbitrary and random as to when I record based on my summer schedule. So I'm doing the best I can. My intentions are to become more regular starting this fall after the summer's over. We have like a million different trips. I feel like I'm either if I'm not in Wisconsin, I'm in Idaho. If I'm not in Idaho, I'm in Missouri. If I'm not in Missouri, I'm like, I don't know where, everywhere. Have a wedding in California, my oldest stepson, Jared. So we're going to be there. Anyway, so it's kind of a crazy summer, and I'm just sort of putting that as priority and joining you all when I can. And so here we are. Since my last episode, I have had a great July 4th week. Allie came home. She brought one of her roommates, Maggie, home with her. And so they were around, and the two of them and Tyler and Tim and I spent a lot of time on the lake in Wisconsin. The July 4th holiday was fantastic as far as weather. We had a bit of cloudy situation for a while, but the temperature was perfect. It was warm enough to be on the lake, but it was not hot. As a reminder, we live on a lake, and so we try, it's weird because when we first moved there, which has now been exactly 8 years now, we've lived in Wisconsin. And when we first lived there, or when we first moved, what's so weird is, and I think this is anywhere where you live, you tend to not appreciate your surroundings or the things you have because you just get used to it. Because when we first moved there for several years, we went on the lake at every opportunity. I mean, even until we couldn't anymore, until it was too cold, we would just take rides around the lake, just relaxing rides. We were just out as often as we possibly could. And somehow that is gradually gotten less and less and less. And I hate that because I love that. When we used to live in Missouri forever, we would go to the lake, we'd have to travel 2 hours to get to a lake. And so when we first moved there, it was so awesome to be like, oh, it's supper's done. Let's grab a couple cocktails and go take a ride around the lake. And we don't do that anymore. And I hate that. Anyway, also with this summer, so my point in saying that was we have hardly been on the lake. Before this July 4th holiday, we probably had only been on the boat 2, maybe 3 times at all. And so partly because our summer's been busy, but also because we're just lazy about it now, sad to say. However, so we were really hoping the weather would be great so we could spend the whole weekend out there. And we were very pleasantly surprised that happened. So we spent a lot of time on the lake. Not too hot, not too cold. Honestly, the weather in Wisconsin is amazing in the summers. We have shitty winters. They are very cold and very long, but the summers really just about make up for it. Because in my opinion, a perfect summer is where it gets really warm during the day. You can be in the lake, you can be outside, and it's perfect, but not super hot where you're dying of heat. And then in the evenings, we have a little fire pit down by the lake, so we sit there and you can wear a sweatshirt. To me, that's the best weather, is sweatshirts where you can wear a sweatshirt in the evening and it feels good, You're not cold, but it kind of feels cozy. So anyway, that's the kind of weekend it was. So it was just fantastic. So Allie was home for about a week when her and Maggie, we left to come out here to Idaho. Did I say that? That's where I am now. I'm in Idaho now. Again. So they left about the time we did to go to Idaho. So have been here for about a week as well. Are going to be here we leave in about another week. So it's just been Tim and I, but we do have Tyler, our son, and William, our stepson, and his wife Shay are coming in a few days, just for a couple days. We have a little event we're going to do for work, but so that should be fun having them out here for a few days. And yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to since I've last talked to y'all. I guess a few things worth mentioning. So William and Shay, the ones I just referred to, are pregnant as well. So I'm going to be grandma again in the middle of October, and they announced their name, their baby boy. They're having a baby boy, and the baby boy's name is going to be, drumroll, Stetson Matthew, which is adorable. So excited about that. Excited about him arriving. That was fun. We got to guess. Did not guess the name. They told us it started with an S. We guessed about every S name there possibly was for a boy that we thought they would use, except that one. So they got us. So that was fun. We did that over the July 4th, so the whole family was kind of part of that little guessing game. It's Max's birthday today. Our dog Max. We have a dog Max, which I talk about occasionally. He is 10 years old today, so happy birthday to Max. Let's see, what else do we have? I was just going to kind of talk about just a little like funny side note that I'm just a little bit venting here about. So, well, I don't know if you know. So Tim and I have been married for 28 years. July 1st was our anniversary. Been married for 28 years. So I'm allowed to say this because I've been married for 28 years. Love him to death, but sometimes when you're together 24/7, you can be like, okay, like I guess I need some alone time, like just to myself, But then and like little things start to just sort of like annoy you. There's one little thing yesterday. So there's like a 2 or 3 day period here. There's like a heat wave coming through Idaho. And Idaho has a very arid, dry um, atmosphere. Am I saying the right word? It's very dry here, not very much humidity. And so it's like that, like dry heat kind of thing. But however, when it gets to be like 100 and above 100, it doesn't matter if it's, humid or not, it's just hot. Anyway, so there's this heat wave coming through Idaho, and like for some reason, this is probably not unlike my own dad, but like weather is such a point of topic of conversation for Tim. And he's, like, boy, it's going to rain. It's going to rain. But better do this because it's going to rain. And it's going to, boy, is it raining outside. So the heat was sort of the thing he kept talking about yesterday. And I swear to God, that's all he talked about is how hot it was. So we got up and I was sitting outside. Okay, wait. Tangent, off on a tangent, or sorry, deviating for a second. Idaho also has the kind of weather where it gets very cool in the evenings where you need a sweatshirt. Even if it's like 100 during the day, since there's no humidity, it cools down and the evenings are so nice. So because of that, we do not have air conditioning at our house in Idaho, because what you do is open all your windows at night, and it really cools off the house. And so much so that it almost gets chilly in the evenings in the house. And then it's comfortable. You get to sleep under your covers. And then when you wake up, like mid-morning, when it starts to warm up, you close all the windows, close your shades, and the coolness actually stays in the house. And it honestly feels air conditioned. It's wild sort of how that works. But so that's what we do. So we don't have air conditioning. Okay. So I woke up in the morning. My favorite thing to do when we come out here is to sit out on our patio, which faces some mountains, and have my coffee and just chill. Love it. It's like my favorite part of being here. So I was sitting out there, had my sweatshirt on, and he was like, "Boy, it already is hot today." And I was like, "Oh, it's not that bad. I'm able to wear my sweatshirt and not be hot." And he's like, "But it's gonna get hot." And I'm like, "Okay." So then, the morning proceeds and boy, it's getting hot. It is really getting hot outside. And I was like, I mean, it's hot, but I'm not like dying, you know? So let's get those windows closed. Of course, that's like legitimate. Get the windows closed. But then we went to town. You had to run to town, which is like 35-minute drive. You have to run to town to get a few things. Town is 3,000 people only. Where we live is like 12, or where this house is. So anyway, we go to town. We were walking outside from like place to place to get our stuff. Boy, is it hot. Man, I can't believe how hot it is out here. It's really hot. Boy, I can't believe how many people. Look at all those people in the river. That's supposed to be today. Boy, is it hot. And I was like, it sure is. So what do we need to get from the grocery store again? Well, I don't know, but it is hot. I was like, got it. I got it. It is hot. And I also can feel it. So I actually know it's hot. We're coming home. Look at the temperature. It's 100. Oh my God. God, is it hot? It is. It's not humid, but it is hot. So I it's like takes everything in me because I don't like to be like, "Oh my God, I got it. It's hot." Because I hate when people do that to me. So I try really hard not to do that to him. Like, got it, Tim. It's hot outside. So it was like everything in me to be like, I get it. Anyway, but there was one other thing that happened yesterday that I was, it's like the meal planning. So this is a difference in Tim and I too. And this doesn't have just to do with Idaho, but like it is like such a thing with Tim. And this is probably most people. I'm probably the weirdo in this case, but it's such a thing with Tim to like get our meals planned. And it's just the two of us. Okay. Mind you, until they come in a few days, like I mentioned before, like meal planning is such a thing. Like at 9 o'clock, and I get it, we have to take meat out to thaw or whatever the case may be. But hey guys, sorry, I had a technical difficulty, so I'm joining you again. You probably didn't even notice the break here because I'm splicing recordings together. But anyway, on with my story. So he's such a meal planner and I am not really. And so even when it's just the two of us, he wants to like plan these meals. Well, I've talked about this before, I'm sure, on my podcast, but like I'm not that. I can have what we call girl dinners every single meal. I can, have cereal or a freaking peanut butter and jelly sandwich or some grapes or like some pieces of pepperoni or whatever. I can just have random stuff, but I try to be a good wife and like make meals because he wants to have a meal. But like, how you do things sometimes for your spouse or your partner because you like just because you're trying to be a good spouse. This is one thing that I do, and I try to be like, I want to just say, can we just like eat whatever? Why don't you go ahead? I'm not the kind of go, I don't want much tonight. I just can eat some popcorn. He thinks that's like wild crazy in his head that I could just eat popcorn for supper. But instead of like saying, you just make what you want to, I, try to help come up with meals and I try to eat them. And then he'll be like, well, what time do you want to eat? I don't care. Well, I don't care either. Well, I don't either. I don't even want to eat. So why don't you just pick a time? I really don't care. You could say 4:30 or you could say 8 o'clock. I really literally don't care because then I'll be like, I don't know, let's say it's 6 and they'll go, well, I have to do such and such. So how about 6:30? Great. Let's do 6:30. Let's do 6:30. They just say 6:30. But that like, especially when it's just us, which I guess it's just us two now, even at home, because all the kids are out. But like I just don't need to plan this big meal because then anyway, but we're planning all these meals out here and then we have leftovers for days and I just somehow I eat less when I'm here too because I sleep later than I do at home. So I'll have my breakfast, my bowl of cereal, because as you know, that's my thing. It's my bowl of cereal. Have my bowl of cereal, and I'm good till like I might maybe at 2 o'clock have just like a little snack, like some fruit or something, or a handful of chips, or I don't know, whatever, just something to tie me over. And then like I don't know. Anyway, so that is my wifely duty that I do for my husband. And for some reason, though, it annoys me out here more than it does at home. I think at home because it feels more rigid and more structured, and we're like, hey, we get up, we get up early, we, go to work, we work all day, we come home. It's more like that type of a schedule. Someday when we're retired, I'm not sure how that will work, and how much I'm going to be like, because I also don't like to cook. So, but I'm always the one that cooks. Like 80% of the time, I'm the one that cooks. And so, anyway, so out here, I'm like, I kind of consider this my vacation. So I just don't want to cook because I'm fine with popcorn. But no, no, I'm being a good wife and I'm cooking our meals. And, like last night, for instance, he came, like, came up with a meal. It was going to be chicken on the grill, but instead of chicken on the grill, he wanted to do these chicken sandwiches on these big buns. I'm just okay with that. I can't have chicken a lot of days in a row. And so I just wanted chicken on a grill, cut it up. I'm not that hungry, whatever. But we had to have these chicken sandwiches with asparagus and cottage cheese. Okay, that's what we had. And I just wasn't hungry. I just wasn't hungry. And so I'll just even make the meal and be nice, and I will sit down and eat it. And it was too much for me. And the bread was just like too much. So I ended up like taking the bread off, eating a little of the chicken. The asparagus just were not hitting the spot last night. So I ate like a quarter of my asparagus and my cottage cheese. And that was all I ate. And I ended up like having the rest in our leftover container for him to eat later. Anyway, so that's just how I deal with it. That's it. I'm done. those are my two things that I was kind of like, okay, just, just, it's fine. Just let them theory. Just let them. It's fine. No skin off my back. All right. So let's get into some reality TV. All right. So I'm recording this and releasing it on the same Sunday that the Love Island reunion is. And so you're probably thinking, why not just wait till tomorrow and just talk about then who won? Well, for one, we have something planned tomorrow, and so I can't do that. Second, I'm kind of thinking that tomorrow's episode is just going to be like not that interesting until we get down to just who wins. And I'm feeling like, the rest of the show is just going to be kind of filler and fluff with them, being sad this is all ending, blah, 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 and not that exciting. And I am just assuming and hoping that Trinity and Bryce win because that's who I voted for. And I think they 1000% deserve to win. Although I did watch After Sun last night, and after hearing some of the interviews with the couples that got kicked off the other night, I'm starting to wonder. Of course, they lived there, and they saw other things, which I'm going to be talking about in a bit here. But it kind of makes me wonder. However, I don't know. I still think it's going to be Bryce and Trinity. If it's not, I'm going to be pissed. Love them both to death. Think they're adorable. So that's that. That's why I'm not releasing an episode tomorrow, because whoever wins, and that's it. I'm assuming they're going to have a reunion. I haven't heard anything about that. I hope Andy Cohen does it again. He did a great job. But anyway, I'm going to dig into Love Island couple by couple and just talk about sort of what has been going down since my last episode with y'all. So let's go. Let's start with Kata and Zach. All right, Kata and Zach, I am fans of. I know they got voted into the bottom, which is weird to me because they were like in the bottom 3, which they were very upset about. But now they've made it to the final 4, which I'm happy about. I was actually surprised they were in the bottom 3, and I know that they both can rub people the wrong way. I know people were not happy with Zach and him always talking about exploring and, them going into the hideaway and him bringing that up right away about, is it, are we still going to explore and whatever. Um, my thoughts on them are I think that they are sort of perfect together. I think they both have the same goofy personality. I think they think each other are funny. They think each other's sort of goofy, ditzy comments are cute. I can't believe I used the word cute because the amount of times the word cute was used on Love Island this season was wild. Um, but I like them. I think they really do. I really think they are a good match, and I don't know. I mean, they've been together right from the beginning too, right? They were big, so I don't know that they don't deserve like second place to win because I feel like they truly are a good couple. Even though Kata was so pissed at him about Casa and all that, I think that he handled it fine. I know the girl that left he was with, and we don't know what would have happened if what's her name hadn't got kicked off, but it is what it is. It's how it worked, and that's that. The one thing about them, though, that I think is so odd, and I think this is because of my age, and I just don't get this category and level of involvement. Whenever the family night was, and I think it was her mom when she announced that they were exclusive, and she said, well, what does that mean? And she said, that means we're not seeing anybody anymore. She was like, well, that's like girlfriend, boyfriend. No. Kata's like, no, not boyfriend, girlfriend. And her mom was like, well, how is that not boyfriend, girlfriend? Yes, mother, I agree 100%. In my opinion, if you're exclusive, the word exclusive means you're not seeing anybody else and you're only dating each other. In my head, that's the definition of boyfriend, girlfriend. What does it matter if you're saying the word? To me, it's a word. It's a label. You are exclusive. Okay, great. You are a girlfriend. Okay, great. Who cares? The same thing happens if you break up. You're still broken up, right? And you still aren't together then. So it's that doesn't register in my brain. And I also think it's so wild that Kata gets so defensive and upset and like triggered if someone implies that, because I believe it was Trinity that also implied that. Isn't like, what's the difference? And she got so defensive. So I don't understand the defensiveness to that comment and what the big deal is. But again, that's probably my old brain. Even on After Sun last night, Sierra and Teffy, is that her name? We're talking about the categories. Although Sierra sort of did agree with me and what I'm saying. Either way, that part's weird to me, but sort of love them. I just love their silliness together. I thought their family meeting was so cute. The movie night with them is when Kata found out that this girl left, and she didn't know that. She noticed it during the movie that the angel girl was gone, and that was the first time she found out that the angel girl had been like left. And so I do get her being confused by that, because I also was confused by that. I don't know how that wasn't brought up by either one of the Casa girls, because they were there for a while. I mean, Titi even was there till the end, but I was confused how that never came up as well. So that would have bothered me. More than anything is that nobody mentioned that. She seemed to get good with it, but it was a very, even if I mean, I know it's not the producer's place to mention it, but surely that would have come up in some form or fashion. So it was very odd to me that that didn't get up. So I did get Kata being like a little annoyed by that, and that, being a question in her head, because I feel like that would have been a question in my head. Like, well, how do I know if that girl wouldn't stay, that you wouldn't have formed a better connection with her? Anyway, but according to the Casa girls, then even they didn't see a connection with that girl that probably would have lasted. So I guess I would have just trusted their opinions. All right, so that's Kata and Zach. Then we have, let's do Casey and TT next. I don't know. I don't really have like a strong connection to them for some reason. I do think that Casey and her are a better match than him and Anaya. Um, Loved movie night where Casey got called out by Anaya, and in such an articulate way did she express herself. And I, to be honest, found it hilarious though when he would watch the clips himself and he would like go, "Oh shit," you know? And I like that part was just, I hated for them, but for me to watch it was so entertaining. Um, they weren't meant to be together. I respected TT for how she handled both Anaya and Casey in that moment. And also how, I can't remember at what point it was that TT kind of apologized for coming in so hard whenever they came back into the villa. Like, I liked how the girls started embracing her more and they were more in, including TT and all of that. And I, whatever. I mean, it does seem like Casey's way more into her than Anaya. The one thing I didn't like, and I don't know, this was just his opinion, I suppose, but at Aftersun last night, Casey talked about how he really just never doesn't think that he and Anaya would have ever made it because um, she was too needy. He called her needy, and that, I guess that wasn't his thing, and he didn't like that part. I don't like that needy label. It implies, I just don't like what it implies. It And maybe she was needy to an extent, but maybe she just needed, it's just a difference in what you need. It's why they weren't compatible. It's maybe what she needed, he wasn't willing or able to give, and Carl is. But in the reverse, what she was needing, did I just say that? Like, it's the same in reverse. So what she needed, he just wasn't like willing to give, and she wanted that, but he couldn't give it in that way. Like, him always talking about wanting to explore, makes me believe that he kind of had that gut feeling that she wasn't the one. Um, and then when he found TT and just felt something different, that's fair. I mean, again, it is fair that that's what this show is about. And testing the relationships by, exploring, the common word is is what they're supposed to do, and that's what worked for him. And it upset her, obviously. There's going to be all these dynamics that are actually sort of real life feelings that you get. You never want to not be wanted. And whenever he came in with TT and Anaya had that little speech that just like tore my heart apart when she kept saying, you didn't pick me. I wanted you to pick me. I picked you. You didn't pick me. You didn't. I mean, she repeated that over and over. And to me, that spoke volumes that it was more about, maybe she has past with not feeling chosen, whether it be like in her family or with a friend situation or other boyfriends or whatever, some type of insecurity about not being chosen, that was playing out more than her actually wanting KC. It was the fact that he picked someone else and not her. And so, I I I try to like be fair to everyone involved in this process. Could they have handled it wrong? Or did they handle it not properly? Of course they did. I don't think anyone on the show handled every situation exactly how they should have. Absolutely not. Some definitely handled it better than others. But can you imagine? Like, I can't imagine cameras being on me 24/7 and having to like act appropriately every single time. That's what's kind of crazy to me, is that you get numb to cameras being around you, even though I think that on this show, they're not like up in your face all the time. They're sort of like hidden, which would make it easier to just be yourself. But I think that it would be so hard for me to act completely authentic, knowing that, especially with Love Island and how into Love Island people get, and having to be like so authentic and not acting how you think America will like you. I just feel like that has to be so difficult. So making mistakes and doing the things that are authentic actually ends up making great TV. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on the whole thing and trying to be fair to everybody. So yes, did Casey talk like kind of down about her and be disrespectful to her? 100%. And that was shitty for him to do. I'm sure in doing that, he was trying to build up TT, which is not the correct thing to do. But I'm not the first time it's been done, I am sure. So, and not taking anything from Anaya, because she was one of my favorites. She seems so totally grounded. She seems like her head is flat on her shoulders, and she has such like she seems so logical and so um like she doesn't she gets in her head, but she just seems so grounded. That's just the best word I feel like I can. And mature. She feels so much mature. I can't remember how old she is, but she just feels mature. So, okay, there. So then let's just jump into Anaya and Carl. So there we go again. You know, when she ended up picking KC and should have picked Carl, I'm sure she was kicking herself. And I'm sure, I feel like what was going through her head is, yes, whenever Casey came back from Casa, was that, you know, she had all these paranoia in her head. She didn't see what we were seeing. She did not know, except for that initial night where the girls came in. They didn't know what else was happening. And we have to remember that just because we were seeing it, they were not seeing it. So in her head, yeah, he did what he did when those girls first came in, and it was shitty, and you don't like to, none of the girls like to see it. Obviously, why would you like to see your man in that position? Obviously you would not. And so I'm sure it was just hope. It was the hope factor. And not that she didn't like Carl, but what I feel like happened is that she knew Carl was this great guy, but she was maybe misconstruing like the being attracted like on an intimate or sexual basis. I don't think her and Casey even did anything, but just like having that like chemistry, like that the sexual sort of chemistry was maybe missing in Carl. And she didn't give that enough of a chance because she felt like she would be totally cheating on Casey, and that is just not intrinsic in her. So I feel like all those factors were in play whenever she didn't choose Carl and she chose Casey instead. And the minute he walked in with TT, like, I think it all was just like this explosion inside of her, probably that, you know, what did I do? I made this terrible mistake. And she just, like, you don't also want to be made a fool of in front of America. And you feel that I really just think also that you, even if you are in the moment, you have to still have part of you that is thinking about how America is seeing this, you know, and you start to feel stupid. And I think she's even said that, I feel like a fool. So, yeah. So that's them. But I think that her and Carl seems like the sweetest man. He also seems like the absolute most mature on that island and in the villa. And I think that their levels of maturity are so on course together. They both love volleyball, which I love volleyball. I mean, their families are freaking gorgeous, like both sides. And everyone talking about how Anaya's mom looked like her sister, 100%. And Carl's mom, beautiful. Oh my God. I just wanted to watch them. Like, I want them to stay together because I want to see what their families do together. But so I really, really hope that I don't think there's any chance Anaya and Carl win, but I really hope that they stay together. I'm kind of suspect that they will, because I think there is maybe just something missing completely with at least her with him. I think he's totally into her, but I think there's something that she's not completely into him with. So we'll see. I don't know how long that will last outside the villa. Okay, so let's go then to Kenzie and Dylan. They were another one. So I forgot. So, well, yeah, everyone knows that they're listening. Casey and TT and Kenzie and Dylan were the ones that got dumped from the island. And so they were also on After Sun last night on that show. But I know Kenzie really wants us to believe that she is so into Dylan, and but I don't think they're going to make it. It was like she was trying too hard after she still wanted to like explore with Gaul. It just makes me question how into Dylan she really can be when she just was saying the things she was saying to Gaul. And on movie night, that all sort of came out and made Dylan feel away. Did Dylan get a little emotional about all of that and cry? Like, okay, dude, like calm down. But yet I don't want to say that, because I kind of love when a man is willing to get emotional, especially in front of like America, who's going to probably, you know, attack him for being that way. But the thing that I don't know though is I really think they always talk about how a day in the villa is like a week in real life, and uh, or maybe more. And I don't, I can see that. I can 100% see that is a thing, because I will speak from experience, not with Love Island, but I was part of this leadership development program back in my early mid 20s. And it was for work. And it was only like, I don't know, it was about 12 to 15 people. And we spent 3 weeks together and we're together 24/7. And it wasn't like obviously this kind of bubble, but it was kind of a bubble. And back then phones didn't exist. And so we were just like completely, and it was all ages, girls and guys. It was like everything. And we got so close. And I mean, in fact, I still keep in touch with a few of them all these years later, not like on a regular basis, but legitimately, if I'd see any one of them, I would be like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. We'd reminisce. And it was just such a cool experience. And I really liken that to this, because of how, and then for years after that, we actually did keep in very close touch for a long time. And different countries. There were some people from Canada. There were people from the South. It was really cool. So I really can see where you just developed a relationship so much more faster than in real life. Everyone thinks it's so crazy that you only spend whatever it is, 5 or 6 weeks, and like have these opinions. What's the difference? I actually think they take it slower, because on freaking Love is Blind, they only know each other for, it's probably less than 6 weeks. And they're getting proposed to and going up to an altar. Freaking Kata and Zach are even scared to call each other girlfriend and boyfriend after this. It's like being together 6 months if it was 6 weeks. So I don't know. It's wild to me that it's not wild to me. I don't know why I said that. I completely empathize with getting to know these people and it not seeming that ridiculous that that they can get on these levels with people in this time period. So therefore, what I'm saying is that I think maybe it is possible that Kenzie, honed in on Dylan there at the end. It just felt like though she went over the top with like pulling the mom aside. It was almost like she was aware of what America, and I think especially after movie night, because she would obviously know when movie night is shown, because they don't know what's being shown in America. Like they have no idea. We have to also remember that this show is being recorded 24/7 except while they're sleeping, right? So like not 24/7. What would that be? Like 18/7? But this show, let's just say, okay, this show is being filmed 24/7. And really, we see 5 hours. So we're seeing only 5 hours, even though we're watching it every day and we feel like it's so much more than a normal reality love show. It's really not. So they're selecting and editing into 5 hours, hundreds of hours of footage, right? So they have no idea what we're seeing and we're not seeing. However, on movie night, I mean, they know obviously movie night's going to be aired for America to see. So Kenzie got to see the things that they were playing that was sort of showing her how she might be being projected to America. And I think she acted a bit different after movie night on the show. Not a lot, but I feel like that is obviously when she really honed in on Dylan. I think she was a little afraid of that America maybe was like, geez, like, you know, yeah, we're all supposed to explore, but can you explore anymore? No. So I think maybe she was kind of possibly trying to make up for it with his mom and wanted to assure her how much she liked Dylan and not Gull. I really think that was part of it, but I think it was maybe too much, I don't know. So I'm not convinced that they will last. They, even when they were showing on After Sun sort of the footage of them after they got dumped from the island and getting their phones back and everything, um, and she seemed like very legit with it all. She still did seem like she was really into him. I don't doubt that she is into him, but I feel like internally she's maybe trying a bit too hard to tell herself that it's going to work outside the villa. But I also don't think they are going to make it. They may make it for a little while, but I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, this is just my guess, but I think she is just forcing herself to feel that way about him. She keeps saying he's the kind of guy she can see herself with and that she would pick outside. And obviously, we don't know that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. So that's them. Okay, let's then jump to Melanie and Sincere. I am really like, obviously I can jump on the bandwagon of everyone hating Sincere. We even have now, and I posted it on my Instagram stories, and I kind of think it's funny when I see it, but I heard on After Sun, I'm not going to lie, this was something they talked about, Teffy and Sierra, so we're recapping everything, and they were talking about this whole meme thing, how all of these companies are offering Melanie free stuff to dump Sincere. Like JetBlue Vacations is offering her a free vacation, and whatever. Kentucky Fried Chicken's offering her free chicken for life if she dumps them and stuff like that. And it's really funny to read. And these are the things that this sounds so dumb, but last time I talked about how I got sort of reamed on TikTok because I was laying out in the sun and the whole sunscreen thing, and people were like ripping me a new one for how shitty I looked and how my chest looked like salami and blah, 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 blah. And ever since then, I've kind of been like, it's weird because people, I don't do that. Like I don't, it confuses me to go on someone's TikTok and talk shit on their comment section. Granted, if it's someone famous, you don't know how much they're really reading the comments anyway. So maybe you're having that thought process, like they're not going to read this anyway. They're too famous. They're not reading every single comment on every single post. And I'm sure they're not, but you're still to like make a comment about someone. And especially when it comes to like their looks or a decision they're making or something to that effect. I get it. You're putting yourself out there and you're asking for that when you post stuff on social media, but that's sad that you have to just accept that. It's sad that people want to be so negative and critical on social media and not just want to be positive. Like they want to bring people down. That shouldn't be something we have to expect when we post to social media. Like just keep it inside. You can think it, I'm sure, but why is it necessary to actually put your fingers and type that out to someone to make them feel bad. I just think it's, because I'm not saying that I'm innocent and I might think something when I'm watching it, but I just think it's weird to, and obviously I'm probably in the minority because that's what people do. It's the internet. And that's what I got people telling me when I talked about this is like, well, welcome to the internet. You asked for it. Okay. I didn't really ask for it. I just shared something I was thinking. I didn't ask to be like reamed. So, anyway, I kind of feel like I almost feel sorry for Melanie for getting so much pressure to dump Sincere. And I say that also because when she comes out of there and sees all these comments, it's going to be so confusing to her. And believe me, when I saw the things that she saw on movie night, well, we had already seen them all, but saw them again. But also when I watched her watching him, it was so interesting to me, her reaction. So there's 2 nights of movie nights. And the first night she was watching it and she was not saying a word. All the other girls were like, oh my God, what the hell? And they were commenting and they were pissed and they were like rubbing her leg and just supporting her to, no end, which was amazing. But she didn't say like one word. It was like she didn't want to miss one iota of what was all going to be happening and just taking it all in. And the second night she did get up and voice her opinion, but it was sort of after it was over. And it was like, she took everything in and I don't know, just really took it wanted to see and like really feel it all. And so then on top of that, and just to keep going based off that, 2 things. So another thing that I heard, and was interesting to me is a conversation that I believe it was Anaya and Trinity had on the last episode. And it was where, they were discussing how on family night, how much Trinity's sister came in for or against Sincere and how she really put it to her heart. And I think America was like cheering her sister on and her mom, and the things her mom was even saying, like that don't let any man steal your essence. And, that he's playing you and he's treating, you have to let him go. He's treating you so bad. You deserve so much more. This is not what you deserve. He is not what you need, like part of me too was like, yeah, tell her what went on, let her know, whatever. But then part of me, when I heard Anaya and Trinity, because they were talking about that, about how Melanie, because Melanie told those girls, this is what my sister said, this is what she was telling me to do, and like, I'm so confused and blah, 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 blah. And the conversation between Anaya and Trinity said a lot to me because, again, going back to this, we see 5 hours of stuff that's being, recorded 24/7. And again, I am not sticking up for Sincere. I do think he is completely immature. He's 1000% a people pleaser. He's telling the person, I am too, though. Maybe that's why I kind of sympathize with him. He's telling the person he's with what he thinks they want to hear to make them feel the best about themselves. And I don't even think he really does mean half of it. And maybe that's a reason for her not to be with him, because he's not at a maturity level to know this yet. But also, okay, sorry, let me finish this first. When they said to each other, Trinity and Anaya, like, do you think they're going to make it? And Anaya was like, yeah, I think they do. I mean, I see them in here and how they are together. And Trinity's like, yeah, me too. Like, I really think they're a good match and I think they're good for each other. And I feel like we have to respect what they say because they truly are with them 24/7. We're not. We're seeing what the producers want us to see, and we're seeing what makes better TV. And it did. It made fantastic TV, 1000%. It made Sincere the villain. It did what it was supposed to do. But I have to take into account what Anaya and Trinity's, because I totally respect both of them. Like I just said earlier, Anaya is so grounded. I feel like she's very logical. I just feel like I trust what she says. Trinity too. I feel like they would see the bullshit. I really think that they would. But also but how Sincere's dad approached him was so, I loved it. Again, this is how a parent would and should react. He even said he wasn't even going to come, but when he saw that his son needed basically a talking to, and he came on and said what he said and told Sincere that he was basically disappointed in him. This is not how I raised you. You can't treat someone this way. You know, and but we have to remember that what his dad saw and what both families saw, what all of us saw, is that 5 hours a week that happened. And they can be disappointed. And no matter what he said, that he did what he did, all of those things are still shitty. They totally are. Not excusing him whatsoever. But like, they also only saw what we saw. So what about all the other conversations maybe that Melanie and Sincere have had, and things that they've discussed, and maybe growth that he's had? Again, is a day like a week? Maybe he can grow. I tend to think that the pressures of the outside world will be too much for them, and that they, if they could stay in somewhat of a bubble, that they maybe have a chance of making it. But I have to say, if they do make it through even 6 months of the outside world, they may make it for good, because I can't imagine what they are walking into, both of them, for him being a villain and for her being like telling everyone, leave him, leave him, leave him. But I feel sorry for her, because she knows what she knows in her heart. She knows him. She's seen the things on movie night. But I think going forward, they can only go forward. They have to, if something happens again, if she catches them doing something that she doesn't like going forward, fine. But I feel like if they really are going to make it, they have to be like given the freedom to act on their own. But I don't know. I think the pressures and the people being on their asses, I wouldn't be able to take it. And they're both young, So I just feel for really both of them coming out of it, because I think that the two of them are going to have the hardest time with the general public and with America and what they find on social media when they get out. Okay, finally, Bryce and Trinity. I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything to say but good about them. I just think they are adorable. I love Bryce. I sometimes forget he's 30, but he is. And actually, like, sometimes when he talks, I feel like he's 12, but other times when he talks, I do feel like he's 30. I think that he has a different level of maturity that maybe we aren't completely like in tune with, because again, of the limited amount that we're seeing. Trinity has got the best personality. She doesn't have a filter, but yet she's sweet as can be. Their family's dynamic together was fantastic. I like him coming in. Well, we talked about that last time, but movie night, I mean, it was very minimal. Like, they didn't even have that much to show, I don't really even have that much to say about them, because I just think that they're going to work. That maybe because they're not going to have a hard time. Everyone loves them, as far as I can see. Everyone loves them. They're not going to have a hard time with America giving them issues. I think they are, the only thing that would be the problem is the expectation. Like, maybe if and when they do get outside the villa, like, maybe just things will change and they won't quite feel the connection, but they'll be pressured to stay together. They'll feel the pressure because everybody loves them so much and they can do no wrong. Like, maybe that will be sort of their demise if they have one. But I don't really have that much to say about them, because I just think they're adorable together, and I really, really hope they win. Not that that matters, because kind of like Kenzie said, I mean, they win the money, I guess, but geez, the money that they're going to get from brand deals after this is over is going to far surpass the money that they win from winning Love Island. Like, it's not even going to be remotely. And Caleb, I heard Caleb hit 1 million followers, and so did, shoot, who was the girl? And maybe more have hit it by now, but I just saw it on social media. Was it Anaya or maybe Trinity? I don't know. One of the other girls hit 1 million. So This is a show where still the followers matter. The followers don't matter anymore. Love is Blind followers don't matter anymore. For whatever reason, Love Island is just the show that is taken off and that everyone pays attention to, and it's like the focuses of everyone's days. At least for all of us that watch all these love competition shows. So anyway, I'm kind of sad it's over. I'm kind of glad it's over because I don't have to allot so much time for all my shows because I'm also keeping up with Bravo. I'm just going to touch on that very briefly here, but I am kind of sad to see Love Island end because dun 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 is going to be the sound that I kind of miss. And I never think I'm going to get pulled in. I don't think this was probably the best season ever, but I don't know. I think the first season of any show, I mean, it wasn't the first season, but it was the first season on Netflix. It's always going to be hard to top. But I think I enjoyed it fully, liked some of the people, didn't care for some of the people. I think there could have been more bombshells. I feel like they had less bombshells. I still don't like the challenges. I think they're disgusting and their time. They waste so much time, in my opinion. This last challenge that was on Friday night was disgusting, and not in the sexual way, in a gagging way, like a lot of the Islanders did. It was so gross. Feeding food to each other out of each other's mouths. Like, who thinks of this shit? I fast forwarded the whole thing because I honestly didn't care, and they never mean anything. Oh, the karaoke night was amazing. Now that's a challenge I liked. That was a challenge that was fun to watch. It was cringy, but in the best way. It was so funny. They had to actually put this stuff together. And I do think this was a way, though, a random way to keep Kenzie and Dylan on the show because none of the challenges ever mean anything. I mean, literally never mean anything. They don't. But this challenge, like, saved them from being kicked off. That seemed way, way, way too ironic to me, but it's whatever. So yeah, I could do without the challenges on any of the seasons here and there. Make them mean something. Make them not be so disgusting and so sexual. I mean, one or two like that if there's other people that like that, but I'm like, I don't need it. I definitely don't need it. So yes, that is my Love Island wrap up. Next time we'll talk about who won, and maybe have been a reunion by then. So we'll see. Just a quick lowdown on the Bravo shows. Atlanta wasn't on last week, so not much to talk about there. The Valley, that continues to be my favorite right now. A lot happens. First it started out not as dark as it was, but I think it's just like dark again. But I don't really mind that. I think that they like the Danny and Nia thing, Danny's having a difficult season. I'll be curious to watch this reunion to see how he handles sort of the aftermath of how he's being portrayed this season. I just enjoy watching this show. I enjoy watching the relationships and how they play out, the friendships, the drama. I don't know. I just am a fan of the Valley. I love Lala on it. I think she does a lot for the cast. I know Lala she has a lot of people that don't care for her, but I think she really adds something to it. Janet and what's his name? Her husband, Jason. She's getting a little bit of a redemption arc, but not really. We have Zach becoming more of a central player, which I think he's hilarious and so funny. But no, I'm really enjoying the season of the Valley and anticipate every week with that. Next Gen NYC started. I think it's okay so far. I always like any show that's set in New York City. I just always find that they are interesting no matter what. I love watching them walk around the city, do things around the city. But so far it's like okay to me. I mean, obviously I'll always watch it, but it seems like not a lot is happening so far. And it's mostly just about those who don't like Charlie versus the few that do, and those that don't like Georgia versus the few that do. And then also Ariana. I like the addition of Rowan, who is Brooke Shields' daughter, but we haven't seen a ton from her that much yet. Amira, love her. She adds a lot to the show. I feel like she's been on more. It's only been 3 episodes so far. Brooks, always, I love him. He's hilarious, and I love hearing his takes on it. I like that the roommate, Charlie's roommate, I can't think of his name. He's more of a main character on this show, on this season. And I like that they did have done that. Um, but no, it's okay. And it's good. I'll continue to watch it. The other one though that just started was Real Housewives of Orange County. Just started this week, and Vicky Gunderson. Look, I try to, because everyone's like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad." Everyone seems to love Vicky. Everyone seems to love Vicky. I don't. I don't. I think that she is so performative. I think that she and Shannon Bedore, I think they both are so aware of the cameras that it just seems performative. It makes me feel like when they're not on camera, they act such a completely different way. And I don't appreciate that. I want to see, it just feels more normal when it's like Vicky tries to be funny with literally everything she says, or to be kind of like she's a badass, with everything she says. And Shannon, I think, tries to be funny in like that physical humor type of way all the time. And sometimes it is funny, but other times it just feels so fake. Like there was this scene on this show, this first show, where they were in this jumpy house, and it was her and two of the other women. And she was like, she had fell down and they kept jumping. And so she couldn't like get up, which was kind of funny at first. But then it felt like she was just trying to do it to get laughs, like not for the people there, but for like us. And like even the looks on her face, just, I don't know, it seems super inauthentic. And that's just a little example. But when her and Vicky were in Mexico, I just felt like that whole scene was almost like scripted, or like it wouldn't have been what they really would have been sitting there talking about if the cameras hadn't been there. So I don't particularly like that addition of Vicky to it. I appreciate that it's the 20th anniversary. It's 20 years of the OC. I do like Gina a lot. I like, oh God, I hate when I blank on names. Jennifer? Nope. Uh, uh, the girl that had the tummy tuck, the long blonde hair. I like her more and more. And then also, what's her name with the dark hair that's got the twins that lost like 50 pounds? Oh my God, I'm totally blanking. I like the three of them a lot. And I actually do like Heather too. I think I think she's aware of the cameras too, but it's in a different way. But I just don't like that Vicky is part of Tamara too. She can also be a little bit performative. But obviously I'm gonna give it a chance. OC is not my favorite installment of Real Housewives by far. But I obviously get pulled in, and we'll see how it goes. I just feel like Vicky is going to be really focused on, since she's come back to the show now. And I don't know, but I don't know. I don't care for her that much. So yeah, there we go. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed my takes on Love Island, and I hope that you tune in for the next time. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your opinions. I appreciate any sort of feedback you can give me, whether it be a follow, whether it be a review, whether it be a subscribe button. I just appreciate all of it. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Until then, be calm, be strong, be kind, and be grateful. Love you. Bye.